my name is Angoya. Welcome to my channel. I am so happy that you're here. In today's video, we're gonna talk about emergency funds, what they are, what they're not, what's the difference between an emergency fund and a savings fund, and what is the ideal amount of money that you should have in your emergency fund. Before we get into all that goodness, I want to ask that if you have not subscribed to my channel, please hit the subscribe button, like my videos, and share with anyone whom you think will benefit from this type of content. I want to start by giving a disclaimer and saying that I know a lot of people who are not able to make a living from the income that they make every single month. So asking them to have an emergency fund is definitely a stretch. But I think that we should all proactively think about how we can make this a goal for ourselves and how we can go about achieving this goal for ourselves. So, what is an emergency fund? An emergency fund is an account that you set aside in your budget for unforeseen expenses. This is the biggest difference between an emergency fund and a savings fund. A savings fund, on the other hand, is an account that you set aside for your goals and for expenses that you can anticipate. For example, if your wife is pregnant, you can anticipate that you're going to have childbirth expenses and you're going to have expenses for your baby. So those expenses should be paid by money from your savings account. If you have a car that you think will break down on you any minute now, you can set up an account within your savings fund for that specific expense. Those are things that you can anticipate. So what are some of the things that you cannot anticipate? One, a funeral in the family that you know, it just happened. It's definitely an emergency and you need to contribute money towards the burial. You can take money from your emergency fund for that. A sickness that happens to you or your family member and you just didn't expect that that would happen, you can take out money from your emergency fund to spend towards that. God forbid, but your house catches on fire and you have to do repairs and you have to find another house. I don't know. That is something that counts as an emergency that was not anticipated. So the other question that a lot of people ask themselves is, which one should you set up first? And I personally think that you should set up an emergency fund before you set up a savings fund. And that's because ideally you want to have 3 to 8 months worth of your living expenses in your emergency fund. That's something that can take a short time of period or it can take a long time of period depending on how much you make and how much disposable income you have. So I think that everybody's goal should be to set up an emergency fund. Once you achieve that goal, then you can start investing your extra money or spending that money on your other personal goals like buying shoes or buying a house or going on trips. But I don't think you should be doing those things before you have an emergency fund. The last thing I wanted to discuss is where should you keep your emergency fund money. A lot of people wonder, should they have it in a savings account, should they have it in a checking account, should they have it in cash? And I personally think that you can have your money in a traditional savings account. You're not going to earn enough interest to beat the inflation rate, at least not right this moment. But I think it's still safe to have your money in a savings account. If you're somebody who is conscious about your money working for you and your money growing, you can have your emergency fund money in a money market account. Most money market accounts, you're not going to lose your principal and you're going to earn a lot more interest than what you would get in a traditional savings account. You can also put your money in a certificate of deposit, and for that I think that you should do something short term like 3 months and then it would expire and you would renew for the interest rates in the market at that moment. So that's it for today, but I really hope that this video has helped you to start looking at your financial situation and maybe even set up an emergency fund as one of your 2022 goals. If you already had an emergency fund before this video, I hope that this video has helped you to understand what type of expenses should be used for that and what is the difference between your emergency fund and a savings account. Please share, like, and subscribe, and also come back for more videos like this. Thanks. Bye.